Welcome back to episode 3 of Bass Fishing for Beginners. As you can see, I had to come out to my shop. Didn't have enough room in there to get the rods out. But I just want to go over, I got some rods over here behind me. Show you some different styles of rods. And let's start out first. This is a casting rod. This is what you're going to put your bait casters on. This is a 7-foot medium heavy. We'll go over the powers and everything here in just a second. But let's start off with the parts of it. We'll start at this end. This is the butt of the rod. Sometimes this is a solid piece. This is a split grip is what this one's called when it don't have the handle all the way. Some of them have a solid handle all the way down and some don't. So moving right here, this is going to be the reel seat. This is where you're going to set the reel, and you're going to screw this tensioner knob up, the reel foot that we went over in episode 1 of bait caster reels. It's going to set inside here. You're going to screw this up till it gets good and tight, and that's what's going to hold it to the rod. Right here you got your hook keeper. You know, if you're throwing a crankbait or whatever, you can hook the hook in right here. Reel down, get a little tension, and keeps it from getting tangled up. Moving on down the rod, you got your line guides. Some of them have, you know, I don't know, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, they got different amounts for different rod lengths. That's about all the pieces to it. I mean, the main part is called the rod blank, and that's the most important part of a rod. That's where you're going to get your action out of the rod. You're going to hear people talk about the power of the rod, and what that means is how far into the rod that it bends before it gets into the backbone, the meat of the rod. So this is a medium heavy rod. As you can see, when you pull it down, it don't bend very far before it gets into that backbone, before it gets into the power of the rod. Let me show you so you can see this bend here. This is a medium power, or a medium heavy. Okay. This is a flipping rod. Let's see, it's a heavy action rod. Let me let the line out here a little bit, and you should be able to see the tip will bend. See how it just bends right on the end before it starts. Before it starts getting into that backbone. Okay. And then we have just a medium action rod, which is going to bend. It's going to be real limber. As you can see on this one, see how far down the rod bends. It's bending all the way, you know, all the way down into here, down into the shaft of the rod before it gets to, look at that, I done caught one. So that's the difference in the powers of the rods. If you're going to only have one rod, I'm going to recommend a medium heavy. So if you're going out and you're going to start and you're going to get your first rod, what I want you to look for, I don't know if you could see it on there, this is actually a 6'8" rod, but right here it says power medium heavy. I was trying to see if you can read that. I have it up. Anyway, if you can't, I'll link it in the description what rod I would recommend you guys using. A medium heavy rod is kind of a jack of all trades. I have 20, 25 rods, and a lot of them are medium heavy rods. You can just do so much with them. You can flip and pitch with them. You throw crankbaits with them. The tip's soft enough. What you want when you're casting, if that tip is too stiff, you won't get as far a cast. You want this tip to load up, is what they call it. When you go back on your cast, you want that tip to bend a little bit and slingshot that bait out. So a medium heavy is definitely what I'm going to recommend as far as a bait caster rod for you guys. So if you go to get a combo, get a medium heavy. If you are going to just get an individual rod, get a medium heavy. And try to get it in that, you know, 6'8", 6'9", up to 7 foot. It's just, the longer rods will allow you to cast farther. It's just the best size for a beginner especially. Alright, let's go to the spinning rails, or spinning rods. Alright, you can tell the difference in a spinning rod. See this first eye? The eye of a spinning rod is always going to be big. Okay, and they don't have a trigger. If you'll notice, these on the handle, they have a trigger here. And the rod mounts, or the reel is going to mount to the top of the rod. Whereas on a spinning rod, the reel is going to mount to the bottom. So let me put this one back up. Same pieces, same parts to it. You got your butt again, split grip. Sometimes that goes all the way down. You got this one actually screws from the back, but you're going to mount your reel to the bottom. You're going to mount it up on there like this. Okay. You got your hook keeper, your rod blank again, your rod guides or your eyes, your line guides, and that's basically it. You know, this is a 6.6 medium power, and if I was going to recommend you guys one spinning rod to get, I'm going to recommend medium power. You can get it 6.6 to 7 foot, whatever feels best for you. And these you're just going to notice they're just, with it being that medium action, see it's got a lot of bend to it. So the reason you're going to want that medium action on your spinning rods is most of the time, like we talked about in video 2 there with the spinning reels, you're going to be throwing in between 6 to 10 pound test. So you want that rod to make up the difference. Where you don't have the strength in your line, your rod will fight the fish for you. So it'll load up real good. It keeps constant pressure on that fish with that 6 pound test, and you don't break off near as much. And I'll link some in the description for you guys to look at, some that I would recommend. That's about it as far as the spinning rods. You can get these in different powers. Like I said, this is a medium. This one that I throw, like this is a Rapala Shad Rap. This is a 7 foot medium heavy, and you can just tell the tip on it is just a little bit stiffer. It catches up here a little farther, and I use this to throw my, small crankbaits on, a bigger shaky head, stuff like that. But as you can see, this is how it's going to mount under the rod. It's going to mount to the bottom. So if you're out looking for rods and you're wondering, is that a bait cast, or is that a bait casting rod or a spinning rod? Look at this eye first. It'll normally always give it away. It'll be bigger. So again, going back to what we recommend for the first time beginner, that's what this is all about, is we're going to get a 7 foot medium heavy action rod. That's going to allow you to throw pretty well anything. Now, I'm not saying these other rods, all the other rods they make, I mean, I have them, most of them. I mean, you got your flipping rods, you got your crankbait rods. They're more of a parabolic bends, what you hear. It bends the whole length of the rod, and that keeps from pulling those treble hooks out of those fish. But as an overall, if you're on a budget, you're only going to be able to get one rod. Get you a 7 foot medium heavy rod, and then they'll get you a spinning rod, 6.6 to 7 foot medium heavy rod. And with those two rods, you're going to be able to pretty well throw anything you can think of. And that's the goal here, is we're trying to get you out fishing, get you started, get you hooked on fishing. And once you do, you're going to be like all the rest of us. You're going to have more rods and more reels than you possibly need, but you think you need them. And there's nothing wrong with that. So thanks for watching. If you learned anything, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section below. I'll be glad to answer them. If I need to come back, if you got a certain part of it you want a question about, ask me. I'll be glad to help you guys out. That's what this channel is all about, is helping you guys. So there's no dumb question. I hope this video helped you guys out. We'll see you next time.